Just pause your freaking mind and hear that calling, taking over you. Wanna feel it, your vibration, hear your screaming liberation, but keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. You know you gotta keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. Don't you let that go, easy let it go. Feelings go by flow, come and let it show. But keep it low, keep it low, keep it low, keep it low, gotta keep it low, keep it low, keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. At times it feels like you're not gonna make it. Open your heart and love what you're creating. A new life, new dawn, all your fears are gone. It's time you know I wanna feel it, your vibration, hear your screaming liberation, but keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. You know you gotta keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. Don't you let that go, easy let it go. Feelings go by flow, come and let it show. But keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. You know you gotta keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. Don't you let that go, gotta take it slow. Feelings go by flow, come and let it show. But keep it low, keep it low, keep it low. You know you gotta keep it low, keep it low, keep it low.
I'm the illest, rolling up like already did it. With the subs up, you better listen. Coming up, but ain't no competition. Nah, I ain't tripping. All the boys got 'em moving to my flow. Now the girls got 'em dropping low. Going through the most, cause they ain't afraid to grow. Coast to the coast, I'ma hit your radio. Dreaming about it every day. I know that now I'm finally on my way. I know that I've been on my gun, I've been telling myself I do it all for me, not for nobody else. I'm looking what I see. Hit different. When a little mama got a big vision. Hit different. Aiming high, baby, I go the distance. I've been putting in work, putting in time, putting me first. Now my whole life hit different. With the pain, with the bang, ready. Hit different. Ooh, over there, who's the hot one with the long hair? Looky. Ooh, that's me. Mirror, showing them my bad bitch. And I don't see the girl that I fell, so down and out on the south. For total mind and body globe, down in every cell. Living it up, ooh. And I'ma go and killing it, cause this is what I do. Dreaming about it every day. I know that now I'm finally on my way. I know that I've been on my gun, I've been telling myself I do it all for me, not for nobody else. I'm looking what I see. Hit different. When a little mama got a big vision. Hit different. Aiming high, baby, I go the distance.
Welcome back to this channel, everyone. It is Mystic Rain. I can't say my name today. It is Mystic Rain, the Mystic Maven. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Salutations. Salutations. Come on in. Have a seat. Sit down. Sit down. We've got much to discuss. It's been a minute. It has been a minute. Why? Because I was tired last week. I literally was like, I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm tired. And in the spirit of 2025, I made a commitment to myself that I wasn't going to overwork myself this year, and that when I needed to have several seats, that I was going to grant myself several seats. But come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Big C gives mad hearts. Mad hearts back to you, Big C. Hi. Kamala says, hello, everyone. Verno says, yay, I'm on time and early. You're early for the live. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Keisha says, hi, I love the nails. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I do them myself. So when people say things like this to me, it rings. It rings a certain way in my heart. It's literally like one of the highest of all high compliments. When someone is like, I like your nails. I'm like, really? Seriously? Like, it's like my art form. Howdy, Yaya. Come on in. Come on in. Salutations. What is an update? Well, let's start with a name change. Not really a name change, more of a title tag change. I am now Mystic Rain, the Mystic Maven, until I can figure out how to say it, because it doesn't roll as fast as your internet psychic medium and spiritual advisor rolls. And why does that roll fast? Because I've just been saying it for a really long time, but I don't want to say it anymore. I want something new. I want a new tag. So now it's the Mystic Maven. Why is it the Mystic Maven and not your resident internet psychic medium and spiritual advisor? Well, for those of you that don't know, I have been Mystic Rain now for 9 years. It has been 9 years of me being Mystic Rain. Not necessarily all 9 years on YouTube, but like going by Mystic Rain in the spiritual community. It's been 9 years. And I was thinking, you know, it's about time for a bitch to get promoted. We've been at the same title for quite some time now. I feel like we've outgrown it. It's time for like a big girl thing. And so I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to promote myself to the Mystic Maven. Why? Because no one can fucking stop me. And it's just going to be what it is. We're just going to see how long it's going to take me to say that quickly, as opposed to your resident internet psychic medium and spiritual advisor, because I'm not used to saying it yet. But it's okay. We're going to get there. I don't care. It's been a long time. And also, psychic medium and spiritual advisor doesn't necessarily carry the same ring in the way that it used to, in the sense of like, these days everybody can be a psychic medium, like everybody and their mama is a psychic medium, and like TikTok has taken over and short form content has taken over and has, well, cheapened what it means to be a psychic medium. Back in my day, you were typically trained before you said publicly that that's what you were. You know, now people watch a couple TikToks and then see a couple repeating numbers and now they calling them like, so the merit of it doesn't exist in the way that it used to. And so I'm dropping it, you know? And then as far as a spiritual advisor goes, I think that kind of gets captured in the Mystic Maven kind of thing. So it is what it is. It's just long. I don't feel like saying it anymore. And so like, yeah, that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. So now it is the Mystic Maven, you know? I think it has a ring to it. I like alliteration, you know, Mystic Rain, the Mystic Maven. I think it has like a little cadence, like a little bounce, you know? And I feel like it's fitting after 9 years, okay? The bitch needed a promotion. So that's what happened. You making me want some, but I always chew them off. Oh, the nails. Hey, jewels, not tools. The nails are fab. I'm waiting for you to wave them around while you say I was aggravated by I couldn't believe the gall azure. Well, now that you mention it, I do have a story today. So listen, Listen to this shit. Can I tell you what happened to me yesterday? Can I tell you what happened to me? Okay. I'm going to walk you through it. Follow the bouncing ball. Okay. So yesterday, Tuesday, my husband was like, let's go to Ross. And I was like, why? And he was like, well, in the beginning of the week, they turn over the stock. And I was like, great thinking, hun. Let's go to Ross. Right. So we went to Ross. We walked in. He goes straight to men's shoes. I go straight to women's shoes. Right. So now at this point, we're separated. Okay. And somehow, some way, I have managed to quickly meander through the shoes, then weave myself through the purses, right? Which I never know why I go in that direction, because I can't tell you the last time I've actually purchased a purse from Ross or like TJ Maxx. Like, I'm not really a Tommy Hilfiger, Steve Madden Guess kind of girly. Like, that's not really my vibe. And it hasn't been my vibe since, I had college money. But anyway, somehow managed to maneuver through those areas and then ended up in the back. And you know how Ross has like this section in the back where it's just random stuff. It's like children's toys, and then it's like journals, and then it's like acrylic paint and paintbrushes and art supplies, and then it's like dog clothes, right? And in the spirit, I do look at dog clothes often for Duchess, and so I do have a tendency to meander back there. So anyway, I meandered and I managed to get back there, right? And I was looking at acrylic paint. Why? I don't know. It's Ross. You just have to kind of look at everything. But that's where the story really kind of kicks itself off, right? I was looking at acrylic paint. To be very specific, it was blue acrylic paint. And I remember thinking, I wonder what kind of quality that is. It's given cheap, but maybe it works, right? And then these two Black women approached me. Now, in the spirit of it being Atlanta, and Atlanta has very high trafficking, and the fact that I don't come from the South and I don't do well when people roll up on me without pre-announcing themselves, right? These two Black women walked up and I immediately hit them with the hand and was like, no, thank you. They hit me with the, hi, ma'am, excuse me. And I immediately hit them with the, no, thanks, have a good day, right? So they're like, wait, no, hold on. We're not selling anything. We just wanted to invite you to our church for Bible study. In my mind, I was like, these two have obviously never come across me, like, at all. Because when I tell you that I am so not the right audience for that, I'm not the right audience for shit like that, right? And so I hit them with a, no thanks, don't believe in religion, have a nice day, with the second palm of the hand, okay? So then they hit me with the, wait, no, hold on. We just, we want to talk about the word. We want to spread the word. We just want to, invite you. And so I looked at them and I was like, okay, let me be clear. I don't believe in your religion. And so that took them by a moment, right? They were like, wait, what? And they were like, what do you mean you don't believe in like my religion? I said, I don't believe in your religion. I don't do institutionalized religion. Like, I'm not the right person for this conversation. I am not the right audience for this. And they were like, well, hold on. Like, why not? And I was like, trust me when I tell you, we probably should just end the conversation here while you guys go about your merry way, because this is going to go left, right? So they were very persistent. They wanted to know. And I said, look, I don't do your religion. I don't do your God. And I was like, people are currently dying in the name of your God. People use your God to kill people. People use your God to maim people. People use your God to rape people. And I was like, and honestly, as two Black women, your God is currently being used to decimate this country at this moment. And I was like, you should know better. And they were like, what? And I was like, look, I don't do the institution of religion. It's patriarchal. I don't even like the fact that it's printed on our money. Okay? I don't do religion. I don't do your God. And I have no intention or interest in learning about your religion or learning about your God. And they were like, well, in the Bible. And I was like, hold on. And I was like, I also have no interest in your book. And then they were like, my book? It's the Bible. And I was like, as two Black women, and I was like, I need you not to preach something to me that has a slave edition to it. And they were like, but there are other editions. And I was like, and how can you confirm that you ended up with the right one? Right? So then the other one is like, well, don't you believe in Jesus Christ? And I was like, not really. Do I believe that there probably was a man named Jesus living out his life? Yeah. Did Jesus have some haters? Probably. Do I believe a man named Jesus died for this Black woman? No, I don't. I don't. Absolutely not. But you don't think that there's a creator? And I was like, see, here's the thing. You obviously don't know me. And I was like, because as like much as some of our belief systems probably align, there's a whole lot of them right now that's just like not aligning, right? There's just a lot of them that's just like not aligning at the moment. But God created you. And I was like, see, this is where we split. God created you. He created me. And I was like, and I said to her when she said that, and I was like, how sad must it be to believe that you are that powerless? She was like, what? I said, how sad must it be for you to believe that you don't have power to bring yourself to form? And I was like, do you live the rest of your life like that? And she was like, what? And I was like, do you live the rest of your life avoiding accountability and responsibility for what you are actually doing yourself or what you are actually creating? So now she's like, shook. She's like, because she just thought we were going to fucking Bible study, right? I was like, no, bro. And I was like, listen, like, get off my dick. I tried to silence you a few times before this conversation started. And like, you keep going. And now look at you. Both of you standing there with hurt fucking feelings. We didn't have to go that far, right? My thing is like, freedom of religion means freedom from religion. If you have someone that's repeatedly saying, this is not my thing, leave me alone, then like you need to learn to do that. And one thing that I have an issue with when it comes to the religious, because I don't have an issue with religion. I have an issue with organized religion, and I have an issue with the institution of religion because it's run by men and it's a power grab. I do not have an issue with the belief system, but I do have an issue with using the belief system to kill people and then say that God told you to do so. I have issues with that, right? And I also have issues with this idea of people thinking that they can convert. Leave me the fuck out of it. I don't want shit to do with your shit. And when they realized it wasn't going anywhere with me, right? And I was like, please, enough. It's not happening. One of them hit me with the, oh, okay, we're all right. Have a good day. God bless you. And then when I tell you, I turned around and I snapped. And I was like, that's your problem right there. So she's like, what? Oh my God. All I did was say, God bless you. That's a good thing. I was like, it's not. And I was like, you are crossing a line and you are crossing a boundary. I don't know you. Don't tell me God bless you. She was like, but why wouldn't you want to be blessed by God? And I said, I literally just sat here for 5 minutes telling you that I do not believe in your God. And then you try to bless me with your God. And I was like, you don't see how this is disrespectful? You can't see how that maybe you are like crossing lines and boundaries with what I'm telling you my belief system is by trying to shove your belief system down my throat. And I was like, don't bless me with your God. Well, why not? And I was like, I don't know you. And I was like, woman, I don't know you. And I don't know what you pray to. And I was like, pardon me, but you obviously don't know my line of work. I don't know what you pray to. People pray to demons. I don't need you blessing me with your God. I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't know you. Well, we just wanted to invite you to our church. And I was like, you recognize that church has like the highest concentrations of demons in it? People are shocked to hear that. But if you want to find them, that's where you'll go to go get them. So I don't fuck with the church because they conjure them. People go to church and they conjure up those spirits. Why? Because it's sin. When you have a belief system that is structured around sin and confessing and shit like that, and you have a lot of people doing it collectively, ritualistically, at the same time, on the same day, you conjure shit, okay? I do not want to be blessed by your God. Woman, I don't even know your name. You didn't even introduce yourself. You introduced the church and thought you were going to shove it down my throat as if I'm originally from fucking Georgia. Like this Bible fucking thumping town is not where the fuck I'm from. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. What the fuck is that? And I was like, your issue, and I think that this is the issue with a lot of religious people, is that because they have been able to run supreme, because we see it with the country right now, being run by religion, fucking Christian nationalism, right? No one has ever checked them. Like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. You sound crazy. And I was like, because they're looking at me like I'm crazy, because at this point, they were looking at me like I was crazy. Like, it wasn't like, they were shocked. And also confused, especially when I hit them with the don't God bless me. They were in their mind was like, what? Like, why wouldn't you want to be blessed? And I was like, I don't know you. And I said to them, the same way you're looking at me in terms of like, this woman is crazy, is the same thing I think about you right now. I think you're crazy for coming up to me, a stranger who you don't know. You didn't ask my name. You didn't give me your name. You had an agenda, and your agenda was covered in the name of God. And so you thought you were doing something that was okay without realizing that what you were doing was violating boundaries. And I find that religious people do that often. They have a tendency to violate boundaries in the name of their God, not realizing that they're doing it because they're taught that what they're doing is the right thing. They're taught that you can save people or you can lead people to salvation, right? Like, get the fuck out my face with that shit. I'm looking at fucking acrylic paint here. What the fuck are we doing? How dare you fuck up my day? I'm in Ross, minding my goddamn business. What the fuck? Why the fuck are you over here? When I'm like, no, thank you. Have a nice day. Go have a nice fucking day. Actually, at this point, go have the day you deserve. Look, I'm confused. I do this spiritual shit, but when I tell you there are several things you can miss me with, that's one of them. I don't pretend that I'm cool with it. I find it aggravating. I can't stand when people knock on my door. Don't walk up this fucking driveway. Because if I open the door holding the pew, like, what the fuck are you doing on this property? Now you're upset. You just violated my boundary by stepping over bounds, quite literally, but you're upset. I just told you that I don't believe in your God, but you keep forcing the issue, but you're upset. Tell me why you thought you had the right. Tell me where it came from. And tell me why your expectation of me was to be compliant, to either go with you or nicely decline. Why? Because no one's ever checked that shit before. And religious people are not used to being checked when it comes to shit like that. Religious people are not used to hearing the other side of what other people are actually thinking. So, for millennia, they've been running through the fucking streets being a goddamn nuisance. Now, I'm going to say it again. I don't have an issue with belief systems, but I do have an issue with oppression. And I do have an issue with using those belief systems to oppress people, to kill people, to maim people, and to rape people. I have issues when those systems and institutions are used to commit genocide and to wipe out entire countries. And if you are more concerned with getting me to come to Bible study than you are for like fighting for fucking Gaza. Miss me with that. That's all I'm saying. Not interested. Anyway, that's what I left Ross soon after that. I found my husband and I was like, honey. And he was like, what happened? We were only in here for 5 minutes. Like, I literally walked away from you 5 minutes ago and you're in something. He was like, why does this always happen to you? Because it is a thing. Like, I don't think I have like a friendly face. Not unless I'm like doing something or I'm like at an event where I'm like aware of my face and so I may mask it a bit. But I think when I'm just like out and about, I feel like it rests and it looks a bit bitchy. And so I don't think I have like a particularly inviting face to like talk to me. But I do think that I have something that's like in my energy field in which people are curious about it. Like, I'm curious about what she thinks. I'm curious about what she knows. And I've always had that, like, ever since I was like a kid. And so my husband was like, we always have these moments where like we'll go into these stores and people come up to you, like we'll go to the gym and people will come up to me. And he was like, I don't know why people do that with you. And it happens a lot with religious things. And I just find that I'm like, well, the irony in that, the amount of people over the years that have just sat, like I've been in dentist office and I've had people come sit down right next to me and like the entire waiting room is empty and they choose the chair right next to me and then try to hand me a flyer to come join their church service. And I'm like, no, ma'am. And they're always shocked. But why? Because I don't fucking know you, because I don't fucking know your God, because I'm not fucking interested. No, ma'am. But yeah, he was like, you're always into some shit. And I was like, I know, you're right. Let's get out of here. And so I'm upset. And you know what? Yesterday, they had fucking restocked. Ross was full. The shoe shops were full. They had shoes everywhere. And I was excited. I was going to nitpick over everything. And I had a plan to go from item to item to item. And I had to be in. I got into a religious tit for tat. And then I had to get the fuck out. Damn. Ugh. Ugh. Oh my gosh, I love the stories. I can't snack no more because I'm full. Bless their heart. Oh, period. I'm telling you, I told them. Closed minds, as if that is the only and the most holy book, right? The hand to the chest is just perfect. Why is 2025 not being nice to me? Well, Michelle, are you being nice to yourself? Because here's the thing, when you start saying shit like, why is 2025 not being nice to me? It will not be nice to you. I don't think like the amount of power that your belief system and your words have is astronomical. And if you're walking around with the idea that it's not being nice to you, then it will fuck you. Okay. So first, you need to put it back into perspective. I need you to zoom out and I need you to realize that whatever has happened or the circumstances or the situations are just that, just circumstances, just situations. Okay. But to say 2025, as in the whole year, when we're only in February, is very irresponsible. And if you continue having a bad year from this point forward, then it's on you because you spoke it into existence. So what I'm going to need you to do is to flip your thinking. I need you to do some reframes. Maybe something happened that wasn't what you wanted to happen, but it is only February and things can change. But if you move with that energy, it will fuck you. I stopped letting people lay hands on me in the church for that reason. I don't like people touching me. I don't. Look, in my line of work, this shit is very real for me. The way energy moves and the way energy transfers itself, or the way people transfers it, like, I don't want you touching me. I don't want you like praying over me. I don't even like, most people don't believe the prayers that they say for themselves. Most people don't believe that the prayers that they say for themselves are real, can be true, or can come to pass. Why would I want you saying anything for me? You don't even believe it for yourself. How the hell do you have an ability to help me? Is how I feel about it. I'm less discriminating if someone could prove their deities would find me that bag of $15 million I've been missing all this time. I'll say thank you to them blessing me. Bless me with some money. Shock and shook if they were. Yes, they were. Dixie says that's exactly what I thought, because when you watch podcasts and have a priest or religious person, they seem the most possessed, or they are always talking about the demons surrounding them. The church is, in my opinion, like, and I'm talking like spiritually and energetically, it is the most vile place. And that is hard for people to hear who are religious, who go to church, but they can't see what's in it. When you have an ability to see what's in it, you don't want to go in there. Like, have you ever realized that like any sort of religious place outside of like the meditation facilities, those are different. Those are a lot lighter. But like churches, like cathedrals, even the cathedrals that have been turned into museums that you can do tours in, right? Like those places are dense in feeling. Like when you walk in, it's heavy. Have you ever like walked from a parking lot and then walked into the church? It's a dense, heavy feeling in there. And when people go to church, what are they bringing with them? They are bringing sorrow. They are bringing grief. They are bringing confusion. They are bringing trauma. They are bringing anger. They bring more of that than they bring of joy, than they bring of love. They're bringing worry. And when people are praying, it's rarely ever, and I'm so happy, God, help me remain in this state. It is, let me give you this long laundry list of all my problems and why everything is falling apart and why I'm so sick and why this person just died and why I lost my job and why I don't think I'm ever going to have money and why I'm about to get evicted. And like, it's trauma. It's just trauma, just word vomiting trauma. And everyone is doing that collectively. And then when they finish that, then they got to talk about their sins. Oh, I did this wrong. I did this wrong thing to this person. And then they have to do the whole laundry list of there. And then they got to go ask for permission while simultaneously asking for forgiveness. And then you got priests fucking little boys. Was no one ready for that? But it's supposed to be a haven? And then it has all these rules that you must do and adhere to in order to somehow go to heaven? Which I guess is like a building in the clouds somewhere. Come on, no. But when you have all that energy and you have people collectively duplicating it ritualistically at the same time, on the same day, every time, consistently, that's witchcraft. The issue with it is that they don't know that that's what they're doing. Like, give me a witch who knows they're a witch. Give me that bitch. Even if they do black magic, give me that bitch. I want that bitch. Don't give me someone who's like actively practicing witchcraft and they don't know that that is what they're doing. Like, you're going up to an altar, lighting a candle and then praying over it. Come on. Come on. But you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you just enacted with that. With that prayer was an invocation. You said a spell. And so you have all of these people who are doing this simultaneously. That is a lot of energy. And what it does is conjure things. constantly and consistently. And the people who I hear historically the most who have talked about like negative entities come out of the church. They are the priests, they are the pastors, they are the deacons. Those are the ones that swear that those entities exist. Yeah, because they're conjuring them. But when you live outside of that life, there is nothing to conjure. And what they don't realize is that they can exist for you, but not exist for other people. Because one thing about like negative entities, they don't like people with free thought. It doesn't serve their agenda. It doesn't help them at all. What the fuck do they want with me? Like, you can't even ask me to go to Bible study. Like, Karen says, just getting here, girl. Why didn't you change your name before you published your book? I didn't think of it, girl. I did not think of it. It like wasn't a thought. Here's the thing with the whole process of publishing the book. That was an entire exercise in imposter syndrome. I had to like go through that. Like the book wasn't like, it wasn't until after I finished it where I was like, that was some real spiritual shit. Where it just, the end of it manifested as a book, but like it was other shit that was in there that was like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I think I can be? Who am I worthy of being? Who, like, it was other weird, like I wouldn't have even called myself a maven at that point because I didn't think that I was good enough to be called an expert in anything, which is what a maven is. It means expert. And there was a lot of gunk that I had to sort of clear out. And like the book was the clearing out of that gunk. And I also honestly think that like it probably was just like a different era. Like with these tarot like projects, like once I finish them, I'm done with them. Like I'm glad I had an ability to like contribute to the community in that kind of way. But I also feel like I've just moved on from it. And to be honest, I'm still trying to figure out why that's the case. I'm trying to figure out if it's because I've moved on or if I feel like it's cheap now. And because I do feel like there's a lot of pieces of what we used to call spirituality and mysticism that are really cheap now. Once short form content and TikTok got introduced, it's cheap. Like the amount of videos that come across my feed and people are like, you're here because I called you in. Spirit was talking to me and I just had to say this. There's just something about you. You're stepping into yourself and the way the planets are aligned. You're about to become rich. Like, and my school of thought, it's just ethical violation after ethical violation after ethical violation. And it's starting to become a community that I no longer feel proud to say that I'm involved in. I think that I'm proud to have been like a leader or teacher in it. But I can't say that I'm proud of maybe somehow some people have used some of the information that I've given, which I'm never going to be able to control that, right? But I can still have my own opinions about it. And so I'm like in the place of like figuring out what my relationship is to it and what my relationship is to the community as a whole. But yeah, I think it's just something that I'm moving on from. I will get out the last little bit of things that I have to say about it, and then we'll move on. And then you never know. Maybe 5 years from now, I get bored, and I'm like, a card deck sounds fun. So I put one out. I don't fucking know. But I would have never called myself a maven while writing that book, even though I should have, because only mavens would teach it. You would have to be a maven in order to teach it. But I didn't see that about myself at the time. So it was it was a real massive, like, spiritual internal lesson for me. I had to get rid of and work on a lot of things that, like, this book brought up for me that I didn't realize was there, right? Like, I didn't realize I was an author until after it was published. Like, even then I was like, I'm not a real author. Like, I had a thing, and I don't know why. I don't know what was going on in that crazy little mind of mine, but it just wasn't clicking, and it just took a minute for me to get there. So that wouldn't have, yeah, it wouldn't have worked out that way. It wouldn't have worked out that way. Also, I do have to check the numerology on the Mystic Maven. So the plan right now is to keep is so the Mystic Maven is supposed to be like a tag title, Mystic Rain being the name. I got to check the numerology on it because, ironically enough, after Mystic Rain, I'm talking like having the name for like 5-6 years. I ran the numbers on it. And then the numbers of Mystic Rain actually means spiritual teacher and entertainment. Like, that's what the numerology of it is. So I have to go rerun the numbers on like the Mystic Maven. So I don't think it's going to replace Mystic Rain. I think it's just going to be the title of it. But, we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. I can't stand when they knock on my door. That scene from Friday comes to mind, but I'm too nice. Your aura is strong and they want to invest that energy in their God. It's all about our energy. They love and crave our energy. They do. But they can't have it. They can't have it. Rubert Deer says, hello, everybody. Kamala is snapping in a circle. African Queen. Hey, what are we discussing? Well, religion. It was religion. Then it was the insecurities I had to overcome. Big C says, wow, that's actually a really interesting way to look at it. I never thought of it being witchcraft before. Yes. Religion, it's witchcraft. All of them, by the way. All of them. All of them. It's just a way humans interact with this energy that a lot of people don't know how to put words to. It's like humans spiritually understand that there's a great energy. They just don't know how they're interacting with it. And because it feels so big, it's easy for people to put it above them because humans a lot of the times feel very small. And so, like, a lot of times you'll even notice that, like, how religious someone is will sometimes correlate with their self-esteem because it feels really, really big and people think they're really small. Jesus was a Jew who practiced, made him a martyr, and then created religion from it, but he was a Jew. Well, I mean, that's why you got people over there fighting in Israel right now. That's why I do not claim to be Christian anymore. It's a contradiction in itself, in my opinion. I think it's a huge contradiction. I think they're hypocritical. When I was a kid, I was Baptist. Well, my family made me Baptist. I never really identified with being Baptist as a child. I just had to go sit in the pews at church kind of thing, But I always felt that it just felt really hypocritical, Like, I remember being a kid looking at my grandmother because she was like she was devout. She was a very devout woman. And in the time that I knew her, she actually was very holy. But if she wasn't, because I was a child, it's not like that would have been a side of her that I would have seen. But I always judged her. I was like, you had all these damn babies when you were a teenager, but I'm supposed to believe that, like, you believe this shit? You were fucking. Like, I remember being a kid. Being a kid being like, your actions don't line up. Like, and I remember just being a kid, like, side-eyeing all the adults. And one day I went to my mom, and I must have been like 12 or 13 because I had gotten a new Bible for my birthday, and I was sick of that shit. Oh my God. For my birthday, I used to get a new Bible, and and I would get like a pink Bible and my name would be on it. And it was, and I hated that shit. And I'll never forget like going to my mom and I was like, Mom, I gotta talk to you about something. And I was like 12 or 13. She was like, yeah, well, what is it? And I was like, I can't do this. I can't go to church. Like, please don't make me do this. Oh, I'm laughing because, like, to be that young and to be like, this is some bullshit. Oh, God. And my mom was like, okay, honey, you don't have to go anymore. And I was like, you'll tell grandma? Because my grandmother used to come every Sunday and she'd come pick me up. And I used to hate that shit. And I used to hate waking up early in the morning. And my mom used to get the pantyhose and she used to pull them up my legs. And I always was a big girl. And so I always had thighs. And so when she would get them to my thighs, she'd be pinching me and shit, trying to work that shit up my body. And I was like, enough. Like, I can't do this anymore. You're fucking hurting me. My legs hurt. I can't sit in that church anymore with like, at that time, I was like, these people are fake. I didn't have the words for it though at that age. But what I now know is like, with these fake people smiling in everyone's fucking faces, I can't do this. And then you keep sending me off to like youth group with these kids. They're not even cool. And I'm watching fucking a story about Genesis, but what was that program? I think it was like Veggie Tales. Anyway, it was like fruit and vegetables that used to teach you about God and shit. And I used to be like, I can't watch this. Like, this is it's a lot. Like, I can't do this. And then we had to eat afterwards, and the cornbread was dry, and then the chicken was too greasy. And then they would try to give me coleslaw, and I always hated coleslaw. And then the times I didn't have to go to the youth group, I'd sit next to my grandmother, and she used to be in it. She was like in the word, and I used to be squirming in my chair. And so she'd reach in her purse and she'd pull out one of the strawberry candies, and she would give it to me. And then by the time the service was over, I ate all her fucking strawberry candies. The worst was when she ran out of them, and then she would give me fucking peppermints. Jesus. And I used to fucking just be sucking on peppermints with fucking minty breath. And I was like, it was, and then in that church, there wasn't even pews. They used banquet chairs, which are terrible for your tailbone and your back. Man, I used to hate it. And then it smelled like old women perfume. And it was strong. And all of those church dresses were pressed with starch, and they were hard. Oh, my God. When I tell you those are some memories, it feels like trauma. Howdy there. I have your book, and I use it in my tarot readings. Easy to read and understand. Oh, well, thank you, dear. I'm glad that you feel like it's easy to read and understand. That was the goal. That was the goal. The goal was to make it as simple as possible, because I felt like all of the other books talked too damn much. I remember, like, I just felt like it all talked too much. And I was like, no, give people the information that they need to have and then leave it alone. Like, let's not go, like, I didn't, let's remove some of the fluff. And it's funny enough, that's actually, when it got pitched to the publisher, that's how it was pitched. I was like, people like are talking too much. And I was like, can we like take out some of this fluff and like be like normal about it? And then like write it in a way that's like normal and like not weird spirituality. Anyway, Fool's Guide to Tarot. If you don't have it yet, go check it out. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. Yeah. And if you love it, leave a review. Go leave a review on Amazon. The reviews really, really, really help. I've met so many people who do terrible things or carry awful energy with them, but I have no idea what they are doing. That seems to be a lot of the population. It's mainstream to be unhealthy. Well, yeah, because no one is awake. The craziest thing is people don't know that they're actually unhealthy. They just know that they don't feel quite right, right? They may interpret it as like a lack of autonomy or maybe a lack of freedom, a lack of opportunity to say what they really think or express how they really feel. But like no one really understands that, like, well, to be cheesy, that they're all sort of plugged into the matrix and that shit is weird because like the purpose is to break out of it. Like that's the kind of the game of it all, to be like, oh yeah, that's right, and then unplug yourself. But people don't know that they have an ability to do that, because unplugging yourself is power. It's using your own power. It's your own self-empowerment. It's remembering that you are powerful and that you are autonomous and that you are sovereign. And then so because of that, you then unplug. People, like, to get that far requires an immense amount of internal work. A lot of people need help and guidance in order to do that, in order to sort of unlock it with keys, so to speak. And so, yeah, they're walking around unhealthy because no one is attuned to who they are, what they think, how they feel, what they want. People will say, it's a new year, I want a better year. But then you say, okay, well, what do you want? And they don't have an ability to tell you what they want because they're trained not to know what they want. All of humanity is. You're trained not to know, not to express that. That was actually something that I found super profound when I met my husband, because I learned through him that like the Korean culture is so different in the sense that, like, in the US, which I now recognize as part of US propaganda, right? Like, you ask a child, what do they want to be when they grow up, right? And then you frame them and then train them. And then you go and then you convince them what they should be, a lawyer or a doctor. No, 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 you don't want to do that. They can be like, I want to be a rock star. And then you're like, no, 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 you want to be a doctor, right? So it is a part of our indoctrination, but we ask the question, like, what do you want to be? What do you want? And I learned through him that that's not what's asked. People don't ask those questions in Korea. You're not asked what you want. You're told what you want. You're not asked what you want to do. You're told, right? It's a homogenous society, and they all assimilate because that is part of their indoctrination. Every culture, be it the West or the East, has their own form of indoctrination, their own form of propaganda. It's just how that is how it manifests over there. So in the very beginning of our relationship, I'd be like, well, what do you want to do? And he'd be like, I don't know. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? You know, right? You want to go travel? Where you want to go? I don't know. And I'd be like, what? Then it wasn't until later when I learned that, like, he was like, no one has ever asked me this. And I was like, what? And then I realized after like deeper conversations that it's like cultural. It's not asked. I believe it's a question that's asked more now with the younger generations, but like it wasn't before. I recently had a Facebook friend imply that tarot cards are demonic, shaking my damn head. When I remember when I started doing tarot cards, people said that to me. I had an aunt once who like found them. So I had this aunt who is like fake religious, right? Like does drugs in their spare time, but then like super religious when they're having a hard time kind of shit. I mean, I love her though, but like look, it is what the fuck it is. A lot of people are like that, right? And so I had tarot cards, and I like made it a point to like hide them because I was staying with my aunt and my uncle at the time, and I made a point to like hide them just out of respect. I don't think like even though like I have my own belief system about it, I recognize that like when regular people see it, it doesn't feel the same, and that it can feel really scary because they don't understand it. So I always like would hide it because and like buried it away because I didn't want people to feel uncomfortable. Plus, I was staying at their house, so definitely didn't want that to be a thing. But anyway, she went through my stuff, and then so she was like, "Well, you know, you're not supposed to worship idols." And I was like, "I really don't." Oh my god! And I always found it really interesting because I was like, "This is just hypocritical." Because like now you're preaching in the name of God, but what is God? And then she was like, well, you know, my God is a jealous God. And I remember saying something along the lines of, well, why would you want to worship something that's jealous. Like you want to worship something that'll be mad at you. That sounds unwise. So, but I used to have a lot of, I used to get a lot of that. I find often when people take on tasks like these, a lot of inner stuff gets brought out that you wouldn't expect. Yes. Yes. Oh my God. I'm exhausted. I've had to grow so much. Oh, it's exhausting. Because the weird thing about like being a spiritual teacher is that you must learn that in which you teach. You must learn it and then you must master it, which means you have to go through multiple rounds of repetition. Because if you don't, then you can't develop a proper enough understanding to teach it. Like, so I'm going to put you onto something. If you ever want to know, like, when you're like watching like your like favorite like spiritual YouTubers and like stuff like that, like what one of their like biggest lessons to learn in life is, like look at what the things that they teach. It's that. And it's because they've gone through it like over and over and over and over and over again to form some form of mastery of it. And it's probably like their deepest wounds and something that was probably their biggest insecurity. If they're currently teaching it, it's not anymore. They have like moved forward, but like at some point in their life, it was one of their biggest issues. Being drawn to the energy to give their God or their flock, that makes sense. Oh, they do get so weird about it. Speaking of religion, African Queen says, I remember you mentioned her husband doesn't believe in your practices. Do you have kids? Or I think you mean my husband. Do you have kids? If so, how do you go about what to teach your kids? Both of us are very like, what you believe is what you believe. It doesn't actually get in the way of like how we work together or how we make decisions together, because together we don't make spiritual or religious decisions. We make like unit decisions, family decisions, business decisions, because I view marriage somewhat as like a business. I mean, the government puts all your money together, so I'm gonna need you to keep your shit together kind of thing. You know what I mean? But we don't actually blend our spiritual, like my spiritual thinking and like his like religious thinking. That doesn't factor into how we maneuver together. We'll tease each other about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so for example, he'll say something I don't like, and then I'll like sage him just to be a nuisance kind of thing. But like, we don't make decisions that way. And so if we had kids, we don't have kids, but like, if we were to, we would focus more so on culture and not religion. And if we then had a child who on their own gravitated towards that direction and it resonated for them, then both of us would be like, okay, but it wouldn't be something necessarily that we would like teach either way. Like I wouldn't go out of my way to do like to teach spirituality the same way. I would go out of my way to make sure that they felt empowered, you know, that they felt autonomous, that they felt free, that they knew that they can make their own choices and decisions, that they knew that like their opinion was the one that mattered the most, things like that. But like heavy spiritual concepts, I wouldn't go out of my way to like shove it down their throat, and he wouldn't go out of his way to shove his stuff down their throat either way. Like either we would just let them be. And that's what we do with each other. We just let each other be. And it's also never factored in. Like we never had a moment, like even when we were first dating, where we had to like figure out what we were going to do with religion. It never factored in. We've always ended up teasing each other and like making fun of each other about like certain beliefs, you know what I mean? Like, but just because it's weird for like a Korean Christian dude to end up with a shaman, as they would call it. They would call it a shaman, which in Korean society, that's funny. It may not be funny to like American ears and culturally, but like anyone that understands like Korean culture, like it's funny. And so we just laugh about it. Ooh, Kamala says, ooh, or when you get the runs, you got to put clear polish to stop the runs. I was miserable. Wait, you had the runs as in like pooping, like diarrhea, like clear polish? Like, girl, what? Wait, what? Uh, Sierra Natal says, I left the church mainly due to misogyny and in the faith. Yep. I don't trust any faith that does not recognize nor respect the divine. I get that. I get that. I get that. Yep. Rubo there says, gosh, I love Gemini women, and Kendrick Lamar, only Gemini man I would trust. What? I don't know if I'm like reading these too fast. They would pinch you awake? That's so funny. Wait, what's your name? BB? B by B baby? Baby Butaluna? B You know what's funny? When I do these lives, it always like dawns on me that people, when they pick their usernames, don't realize that one day somebody may try to read it out loud. Ah. Kamala says the only lit part was when we went to the other church to perform. You were performing? You were the choir? What did you guys like get down? I know that exact set. Oh my gosh, wear the tights when it was cold as hell. It was terrible. Yes, the starch. Blind leading the blind energy is what feels like is happening right now. You mean in a society? Part of the issue is that by the time I get to the comment, like 15, 20 minutes has gone by, and I don't always remember what I said. It sucks so bad when I'm learning a lot about the tree of life and connecting more with the divine, and everyone else doesn't want to know. It's lonely here. It's like, let's learn together. I remember when I was in that phase. I remember when I first started, because it's so liberating and it's so freeing, and like it's like all these dopamine hits, and like your brain is like lighting up and it's on fire, and it's like this feeling of like, oh my god, yes, that's right, this makes sense. And so you're excited about it and you want to talk to people about it, but that is not how a lot of people see the world. A good thing is that the further you move in your journey, you will notice that the people around you will begin to change, and it eventually will stop being people who don't have the same belief system or system of understanding. Like people around me all have some form of like spiritual understanding, even with my like regular 9 to 5 big girl job. Now, at the job, they don't know what I do outside of the job because well, I don't really talk about it because I don't really. I mean, I don't. It's weird. Like I don't really know you guys like that. You know what I mean? But I have found over the years what manifested into my life was people with similar thinking. And so like I may not know them like that, but I know that there's an alignment there because of like off things they'll say in conversation. And I'm like, oh, you see that, like you see it too, kind of thing. And your life will slowly reshape itself to accommodate like your new way of understanding. So it won't be lonely forever. And then your friends will change and shift a little bit. Your acquaintances will change and shift to like be aligned with the new energy that you're in. So just give it a minute. It won't be lonely forever. Or you could just get on the internet like I do. Then it's really not lonely. When are we going to meet Mr. Mystic? Mr. Mystic is very shy, actually. He's very camera shy. Very camera shy. So probably never. You would have to like catch me out and about, and Mr. Mystic would just happen to be there, kind of thing, you know? And even then, he'd duck. There could only be one star in the relationship, unfortunately. Oh, yes, that ceremony with the babies where they pick their jobs. Isn't that? Yeah, that's so fascinating. That's so fascinating that they do that. Hello, you were on mute. I better not be on mute. I think you're on mute because I've been talking for a really long time and I would have been upset if it was muted. Oh my god. I pray and do tarot and get more accurate readings. Oh, damn. Good. Good. It's a good thing. A lot of what I see on TikTok is more so people regurgitating textbook stuff. I don't think most have done the meditative work to connect to the collective conscious or even know its paths. I agree. I don't think anyone has been taught. I do think that there are some people that get it naturally. There's always been people like that who are just naturally tapped in. But I would say a lot. I think the majority people have to learn to tap in. I don't think that like the majority is naturally tapped in. And so I think people are regurgitating as well. And I will say this, I feel conflicted about it because I also don't think that it's on purpose. I think it's the only representation that they have. Because where else would you get the information from? You would go to the internet. And if those are the first things that are popping up on the internet, then you would take that information. So yeah. Like it's okay to be a student at first. Oh, yes, the tights. Yes, it was terrible. Currently eating while watching. Glad I caught the live. Flower Fairy Girl 4. I'm also glad you caught the live. Baby Buddha Luna. Well, baby Buddha Luna. The craziest thing is I hope I remember that. You didn't want to write it all out. When people try and read mine, I'm like, why did I pick this? Oh. Yours is hard. Because I think I do it wrong every time. Like right now I want to say Natty Bay. But like I think I do it wrong every time. But also it's just an internet username. I expect people to mess it up. Okay, good. At least there's some grace. Oh, you're in the DMV. Kamal's in the DMV. That was the only fun part of going to church and singing in the choir. See, I went to like an old timey Baptist church with all the old grandmas, the old ladies. Nobody was popping and locking it. It was old spiritual from like old timey hymns, and everything was so slow, and they had to do it 2-3 times, which is painstaking when you're that young. Natty Bay too, yeah. African Queen says, I need some spiritually woke friends. I'm tired of only having online people to discuss things with. So look for them. Join a community, you know, where you can find them. Some of my like really, really good spiritual friends, I met them at like in spiritual community groups. So for example, like a metaphysical store that was having an event, going to that event, or like a community center that was having some kind of metaphysical event, going there. And I mean like an event like it's like Reiki, they're teaching you something. Or what's another example? Like an astrology class, a tea leaf reading class, something that's specifically talking about metaphysics, not yoga. Cause like, and not like a basic meditation class either. Cause like a basic meditation class is just people who want to relax. Like I like go to like find a psychic development class in your area, things like that. That's where they all go. And then some of my really like my really really good spiritual friends, that's how we met. Reboot dear, you're probably not in here anymore, but sweet dreams to you. Yay, Natty Bay. Oh no, yeah, we had that too, but us young ones brought it to life. Oh, we didn't have any young ones. Well, there was young ones, but we were like kids. We weren't like there was no teenagers or anything like that at the time, you know. Damn, the music was the only good part, and when they sing the energy is crazy, that part is real. I never got to experience that. Yeah, African Queen, like try to sign up for some like that. I don't think you need good luck. I just think you need to go a couple of times. The first time you may go, you may look around and be like, these are not my people. I've gone to some like that where I've looked around and I've been like, this is not it. This is not it. Or I don't like the teacher because I don't vibe with like that sort of like stereotypical blonde, wispy, long hair, beachy, talks like this and like wears long flowing skirts. That's not my vibe. So anytime it would be like a teacher that would like walk out like that, I'd be like, this is not my class. This is not for me. I remember the first time I felt like, oh, I can do this. It was a Black woman. She came into the class. She was teaching it. It was a psychic development class, the first one I ever took. And she was pissed because her train was late. And so she came in and she was cursing. And I was like, that's my bitch. That's her. And then that was when I was able to start like taking it seriously because someone looked like me or I could relate, because I was like, I don't sound like that. I don't talk like that. I had a window of time where I tried. It's actually very embarrassingly here on YouTube where I talked in like a softer voice and it was a bit more sing-songy and it was more of like what I thought I was supposed to be or what I thought I was supposed to sound like or what I thought I was supposed to do kind of thing. And then like one day I was like, I can't continue with this facade because like the F word is oozing out of me. It's just coming out so quick and I can't keep it in, Yeah, I need to get out more for sure and meet some people. I met this one girl at the metaphysical shop, and we rode the bus ride all the way back to the other side of town. I didn't get her number. You got nervous? Was that what happened? Why didn't you get her number? Like literally, that's how like my good friends, like my good like oh that's my bitch, like that's how we met. And then it was like, you want to grab a coffee? We should meet up for lunch sometime. And then it was like really light, and then we would meet and then we would talk about like metaphysical stuff. And then it would be like, great. Oh my God, I want to keep talking about this. You want to meet again so we can keep talking about it? And then we'd be like, yeah, this is great. Let's meet again so we can keep talking about it. And then it just evolved into like friendship, wasn't like friendship the first day. It was shared and mutual interest first day. And then shared a mutual interest second day. And if you do have a metaphysical store or shop in your area, they most likely do regular events because that, for a lot of them, is like their bread and butter. Or if they're not doing events, they're not making money because no one is going to come blindly to buy a crystal. That's not how the structure works. You have to pull people in, so into the store. And so a lot of them run regular events. If you go more than once, don't do it like a one-time thing. Like make yourself a face there regularly is what I'm really trying to say. And then people get used to seeing your face and then they're more likely to come up and talk to you like, oh, you come here often kind of thing. Or like people are like, oh, can you tell me more about this? Or can you tell me more about that? Kind of thing. Or if you're someone that like wants to work in a metaphysical shop at some point in time, the staff will get used to seeing your face. And so you're more likely to work there or to read there or whatever. I didn't want to push a connection. I probably should have, though, because it was like a nice chat. Yeah. Well, if you don't, sometimes you got to try to push because if you don't push, then you don't get the connections that you want. You feel what I'm saying? Like if you want those connections, if you want those friendships, but you're afraid to act on it when the opportunity is in front of you, then you don't end up with the opportunity. Yeah, like reach out to them, and they should have a social media or a website. Most of them you don't have to call. Most of them have calendars like on a website that will list their events month to month. I have social anxiety. I know I need to work on that. Ooh, social anxiety is really interesting because it's like a combination of insecurities. It's like fear of being rejected, issues with worthiness, yet self-empowerment issues. It's a bucket of fun. You suffer from anxiety. Oh, So I do a great job of talking, but that messes me up. I don't know. I think, there's an opportunity here, and that is to move lightly, right? In a sense of like, most metaphysical people are looking for metaphysical friends because they're looking for people with shared interest, and it's hard to find that. And so a lot of times everyone's thinking the same thing. Everyone's thinking like, I really want to connect, but I don't know how to do it. Everyone's thinking the same thing. You know what I mean? Like the amount of times I've like gone to an event and I've said this, like I looked at somebody and went, they're gonna be my friend, and then I just hijack them. Or the amount of friends that I've ended up with in the past who have said the same thing about me, and so they hijacked me. And they've been like, oh, you didn't have a choice. Sometimes you just have to do that. But like I feel like I observe that often in like metaphysical classes and groups and events where people are like looking around wanting to be a friend because they're like, oh my God, you have a shared common interest, but I don't want to be too weird. Is it too weird? Am I coming off too strong? And so they chill. And it's weird to watch because then they'll have this moment of like super intense conversation where it's just flowing and they're in the vibe. And then they both at the same time feel awkward. And then they just stop talking. And then what if somebody would like bring it something else up? And then it's like this cycle of like this super really intense, really awesome flowing conversation. And then everyone gets scared again. And so they stop. Yeah. Mhm. One of my friends I met at a metaphysical, uh, I don't know why she's coming to my mind, but she was one of the like teachers that day, and I was like, "Oh, she's cool." So I followed her around for a little bit. We're really good friends now. No, I will see her again. Well, hopefully. If we catch the same bus. If my son was there, I know he would have been like, Mommy, give her your number. You made a friend. And then I'm all like, I don't even know her. What about Instagram? That's how the kids do it these days. It's not even about asking for the other person's number. You just say, hey, what's your IG? And then you add each other on social media. That way you're connected, but it's not too personal. And it's not too personal because many people are on social media are people that you don't know personally. And so it's not weird to add somebody that you don't really know personally to your social media, but you're still connected with that person. And then that way, when they post, you slowly start liking their stuff. So they start seeing you pop up. Then what happens is they slowly start liking your stuff. You start popping up. Then they post something, you hit them in the comments. Haha, that's so funny. Or what a great point. I didn't think about it like that. And then they comment back, wow, thank you so much. And then you just had a conversation, but it was a small conversation. It wasn't intimidating. It wasn't full of pressure. You know what I mean? And then you work your way up. And then eventually you slide into a DM. Hey, I heard about this one event. I think you may like it. Just slide you the invite. No pressure. But then you go. Maybe they show up. Maybe they don't. And then if they go to an event, maybe they slide it to you. And then at some point in time, you're bound to end up in the same room together again, At some point in time. Anyway, now that I finished rambling, I did actually come here with a message. So, how do I want to start this? I think it was a few weeks ago, someone left a comment on one of the lives. I think it was like 3 weeks ago now. It could be a month ago. I'm not going to even lie. And it was the final comment that came in. So there is a lag time between when you like post something and when it gets to me, right? It's not immediate. Probably mostly because I'm like in a software. I'm not actually in YouTube right now, right? And so everything is like syncing up. And so sometimes what happens is that like I'll miss things, which is why like you'll see me get to comments like super later than when you said it. One is because I'm rumbling, but one is because there's a lag time. But sometimes what happens is that when I end the live and I like hit the end button and the whole thing shuts off, those few straggling comments will keep trickling in. and then it'll come in after the stream is done. And so I can't do anything about it. I can't touch it. I can't like it. I can't respond to it because the stream is done, right? Anyway, so there was a question that came in about manifestation, and it was asking for clarity. I don't remember who said it. I just remember that it was asking for clarity, like in sense of like, well, how do you manifest? Because I heard you say one thing. I heard you say it to do it one way this time, but you also made a video saying to do it one way a different time. Can you please explain to me how it works or clear it up, kind of thing? So I figured, okay, today let's talk about it. Let's talk about manifestation, and then we're going to try to clear up some things. So here's the thing. When you want something, when you want to bring something into form, there are a lot of ways that you can do it, right? There are some ways that are faster or easier than other ways, right? So when you're manifesting, a lot of times what happens is that people get stuck in resistance. And this is something that you probably hear a lot. And what does that mean? Resistance is there can be a block that is in the way, and that block is always going to be you. And you can be trying something, but you're pushing it and you're pushing in the opposite direction. You can be feeling like you're doing all of the work that's necessary, but your mind isn't quite right. So even though you're working on manifesting this one particular project, in your mind, you don't believe that you can have this particular thing. You're working on bringing in the love of your life, but in your mind, you don't believe that you can be loved. You feel like no one will ever love you because your ex left you and then told you that they were going to be the person that was ever going to love you. And so now you're walking around in life carrying this belief system that no one will ever love you. And so you think, okay, I'm going to go get my body back. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to change my wardrobe. I'm going to try to be appealing. And then you start doing all this work, trying to figure out why it's not working. You're on all the dating apps, but then like none of it's working. And then so you think that you're in the process of manifesting, but your belief system is what's holding you back. Or maybe I don't know, you want to manifest a business. And so you think that you're supposed to do everything in one particular way and it's not working. And now you're confused because you're thinking, well, I'm following what all the gurus are saying. I'm watching all these videos on YouTube. I'm following the steps that they're telling me to take. It's not working, right? And then so a few things are happening there. One, you're pushing probably in the wrong direction, right? And then two, because it's not working, you're questioning whether or not it actually has the ability to work at all. So your mind is fighting you, right? But the method and the process can also be fighting you at the same time, which could be maybe that method was that person's method, but it's not yours because it's always going to be tailored towards your energy, not the energy of somebody else. Or maybe the advice you took doesn't actually work. Maybe that person just posted something for clickbait. Whatever the case is, you're trying a process that obviously is not working for you. And instead of putting the process down and trying something else, or putting the process down and recentering to figure out what is best in alignment for you, you're pushing. This has got to work. This has got to work. This has got to work. Trying. And then what ends up happening is that you end up going into a state of resistance. And most people, when they are manifesting, people don't realize that we are wonderful manifestors. Everybody is a brilliant manifester, but there's so much resistance in it that we're not efficient manifestors. So the way that you know you're a brilliant manifester is if you ever had a thought and then suddenly you started having or experiencing a lot of synchronicities, right? Like you're like, I want to do yoga. That sounds great. I'm going to do yoga. And then suddenly all these ads for yoga mats start popping up. You know, your people are talking about it. Suddenly the yoga is now in your reality and it wasn't in it before, right? And so what's happening is that your reality is starting to reconfigure itself to match and align with what it was that you declared and what you decided on, with, in this example, being yoga, right? And so we are actually very good manifestors because a lot of times when we decide and our decision is clear, the synchronicity is immediate. We do not wait a month to see a synchronicity. The synchronicity happens that day, within a few minutes, worst case scenario, the following day kind of thing, right? That is how you know that you're actually really good at manifesting. But what happens is that you're just really inefficient at it because you then let everything start to creep in. Going back to the yoga example, right? You got all these synchronicities, right? So you're getting the confirmation that you wanted to have. And instead of moving forward, you went, I'm going to wait for one more synchronicity. So you got 3 and now you want 4. If I can just get one more sign, right? And then so what happens is that like you then get in your own way. Maybe you're like, I want to change my career. I want to get promoted at my job. But then you start going, well, will anybody ever see me? Well, that person got promoted faster than me. What did that person do that I didn't do? You go everywhere else but the direction that you're supposed to go in. And so because this is what the majority of people do, what I suggested to be done, and this is actually something that I still stand by, even though there's more to it, follow the bouncing ball, right? Is to hold, to wait, to get out of the way. This is why a lot of information about manifesting is to like stop resisting, and then also to stop, to move, to pause, to get out of the way, to stop doing because you're in the way, right? And so one example that I've given is that sometimes what happens is that it's not your move at that moment. You may decide that you want to manifest something, and sometimes that decision is the first step. And then what happens is the universe will start to then move in order to help you out. Your spirit team will start to move to help you out. And so there can be things that are lining up and being configured in the meantime that may not require your immediate action at that particular time. You may just need to have several seats and get out of the way in order for it to come in. But if you're standing there like, come on, come on, come on, come on, and you're moving around and you're maneuvering and you're fucking with shit, right? Then like you can be delaying it, pushing it away. You can have your attention this way when your attention really needs to be that way. You may have in your mind that like, okay, I want to get promoted. And so you're so focused on this job, not realizing that the promotion is actually at a different job, that what you're supposed to do is leave, go somewhere else. That employer will really appreciate everything that you do and bring to the table. And then they will promote you in a heartbeat. But you are looking over here, not realizing that there's all of this possibility and opportunity that's over here. And so you think it's not working. I am never going to be promoted. I'm not good enough. Maybe if I sharpen my skills, maybe if I take this one class and then you enroll into this class, maybe if I do this professional development, but they still can't see me. Oh, that bitch Brenda, she got the job. I thought they were going to give it to me. I'm working so hard to get this promotion. And then you do this. Maybe it's not meant for me. So then you stopped. When all the opportunity was over here. It was a better job. They would have paid you more money. You would have been so much happier. They would have appreciated you. You would have gotten your own team. You would have gotten unlimited PTO. And you would have gotten that promotion. But you were so busy over here that you didn't see what was over here. And so I say, sit the fuck down. Get out of the way. Because one method of manifesting is letting it flow to you, letting it come to you, just letting it flow to you and getting there on its own. Because once you make the choice that it's coming, then it comes. And if you are so busy in the way, then it can't come to you, or it can be sitting right in front of you, but you're looking over here that you're missing it every single time. And so one method to manifesting is just to sit still, right? You could have an entire spirit team working on bringing you this other job and opportunity, bringing it into your awareness, which may be why at that particular moment, nothing is needed from you. You don't need to do anything at that particular moment because your job was to make the decision, to make the choice. You did it. Hold. And now they're bringing in the opportunity. And why must you hold? You don't know what's happening about that opportunity. In order for that role to open up that you want, that may require that somebody quit, somebody get fired, somebody had to leave. That may have required that a new business happen. I've actually had that happen in the past to myself, where like I wanted a certain kind of job, but I couldn't find it. I was doing all this pushing, all this resistance. I was super mad about it. And come to find out, when I did eventually end up in that job that at that time was my dream job, when I had originally wanted it, the company didn't even exist yet. It hadn't even been formed at that moment when I was initially trying to bring it. So there are things that are happening on the back end that's being shaped up in order to fit what it is that you want. And so you may not need to be doing anything other than sitting in flow and at that particular time, right? So like that is a method to manifestation. However, I think this is where I confused somebody, right? Where I believe last week, 2 weeks ago, I was like, okay, but do something. Like if you want to manifest something, but like do something. And they're like, but I don't really get it. You told me not to do anything and now you want me to do something. Well, I don't get it. There's another method to manifestation. By the way, this isn't the final method, right? Whereas if you want to bring something into form, if you want something to manifest into form for you, bring it into form. And that people are like, but how do I do that? By doing it. By remembering that you are the creator and the creator creates. The creator brings it to form, right? So someone can say, what would be an example of bringing it to form? Let's say you have aspirations. You want to be a CEO one day. You feel like, how the hell am I supposed to get that job? You can bring it into form by making your own company. You can bring it into form by making your own business and calling yourself a CEO. You feel what I'm saying? Bring it into form yourself. You can actually also just like do the thing. That thing that you want, you can also just do it, right? Like if you ever was like, I would love to be an author. Oh, but I don't think that that's ever going to happen for me. The way you would manifest that is by doing it, by opening your laptop, pulling up some kind of word processing software, a Google Doc, a Microsoft Word. There's so many these days, a Pages, and to start typing, to do it, to literally just do it. I want to be healthier. Okay, well, start cutting out flour, go to the gym. You can also just do the thing. But what happens is that society, family structures, religious institutions has shaped things in such a way where it feels like you can't. You feel like you don't have permission or the autonomy to make that decision for yourself. Why? Because you have been indoctrinated to wait for permission, to have other people tell you that you can and cannot move, that you can or cannot do something. And so what happens is that when someone says, well, just do the thing, that can actually be quite challenging because the first thing that a lot of people think to themselves is, but how? How do I do that thing? Because we're not taught to do that thing. We don't really teach children. We're starting to now. The generations are changing, but we don't really teach children to do the thing they aspire to do. Adults will then plug in all of their own fears and insecurities. A kid can tell you that they want to be like Picasso, and then an adult will say to them, well, Picasso is poor. Or there's no money in art. Shit like that. And so what happens is that we then start programming into our little brains when we're at such a young, vulnerable age, all the reasons why something can't work. And so then you grow up to an adult. And when something is so simple, which is to do the thing, that we get stuck. We can't do the thing. And then what happens is that we end up falling back into resistance, right? Because we're stalling. We are confused. We are second guessing our decisions, right? Is this the right thing? Now you want to run it past somebody. Let me go ask somebody if this is the right thing. So then you go run it past somebody that you trust. Then they give you their doubt. Now they've passed on their doubt to you. And now you're double doubting yourself about what it was that you actually wanted to do. And now here you are sitting in an increased state of resistance. Because you're like, oh shit, was I right? Am I crazy? Is this possible? Is this plausible? Did I ask for too much? And then you end up creating the swirl, and you spend more time sitting in the swirl than you do anything else, right? And so that is why I say do nothing, because it's all a method. You can do the thing, but if you're so caught up in doing a thing that you are now falling into resistance, then another option is to do nothing and to let it flow to you. And do nothing also means not thinking about it. You making the decision and then not thinking about it, right? Because when you think about it, then you start thinking about all the reasons why it can't work. When you're thinking about it, your insecurities start infiltrating your internal conversation. When you're thinking about it, you find all the ways to find the flaws and the holes in your plan, not recognizing or realizing that the plan never had to be perfect. And the reason why it never had to be perfect was because that was never the point to be perfect. But society will teach you and indoctrinate you to believe that you can't make a mistake, that you can't fuck up. And so when you're trying to then go actualize and realize and manifest your things, you're over here being like, I can't make this mistake. I can't fuck up. So you do nothing by literally making the decision and then not thinking about it again, letting it flow into you. Because if you think about it, you'll fuck it up because you go into resistance. Or you can do something, but a lot of people then fall into resistance. So what's another method? of manifestation. Another method is to embody, right? So, what does embody mean? Embody means bringing form to spirit, right? Giving the spirit a form to something, right? And so, if you want to be a boss babe and a bad bitch, right? And you're like, how do I manifest that? You do so by embodying it. That is a method that you can use, right? So, think about like an actor or an actress, and their role is to play the queen. When you see an actress playing the queen in any movie, what do? How do they move? How do they talk? How do they walk? They probably walk more slow. When you look at movies and someone is portraying a queen, they're more slow. They're more deliberate in their movements. They're more intentional. When they talk with authority. Everything that they say is super decisive. What are they doing? They are embodying the role. So if you're like, well, I want to have this, I want to be this career person, I want to have this crazy, I want to be super successful. Let's go with just plain success. I want to be super successful. You can embody success. As being successful today, because people go, well, success is so far outside of me, right? It is so far in the future without realizing that, no, you're successful today, right? The issue with success is not that you're not successful, it's societal indoctrination. It is society and culture convincing you that you need to do more. Why? Because if you are not convincing you to do more, then you don't work harder and you don't make these white men sitting in these large buildings in the clouds somewhere all this money. So they have figured out a way to convince you that you don't do enough and that you're not successful and that everything that you do is super minute and minuscule and it has no meaning. And so you walk around your life thinking that you're not successful. But success is different to everybody. Success is not the same to everybody. For some people, success just means having a family that is healthy and happy. And that is success to them, right? But everyone is already successful in their own way. But to embody that, you have to move with that understanding that if you picked yourself up and you are like, okay, I recognize and I understand that I am successful, success is not over yonder, right? Success is where I am right here, right now. How does that change how you move? That's embodiment, right? When you have that realization, you probably will notice that you probably sit up a little bit more straight. You probably have your shoulders a little bit farther back. Your tone of voice is probably different. It's probably more full. You probably talk with a different kind of cadence because you're not trying to prove anything. Someone who's already successful isn't trying to prove anything. So what do you need to talk fast for? You would be more deliberate in your speech and how you said something. You would be more expressive. You wouldn't be so concerned with how things came out of your mouth because what do you have to prove? You would move different. That's the embodiment, right? So you can also embody the thing, right? Because you are always the thing. If you want to have a successful business, one, you have to check yourself on what you view success to be, right? And why do you view success to be white male and patriarchy? Because that's what most people view success as. Why is that your version of success, right? So you got to check yourself on the success. You got to check yourself on why you feel like you're not successful, even though you have managed to overcome all the things you've managed to overcome in your life. So you got to do that. And then with that newfound understanding, how do you move then at that particular moment? That is embodying, right? Like you want to be an artist. You move as an artist. You want to be an author. You move as an author. You want to be a teacher, a leader. You move as the leader. That's how you embody, and that's how you bring it into form. And the reason for that is because the universe will reshape itself. Reality will reshape itself, will bend itself in order to match whatever it is that you have going on, right? What happens is that we think that a wish and a command is the same thing. You have to command reality in order for it to bend, but a wish isn't going to do shit, right? A lot of people are sitting on wishes, but they're not making commands. And the way you make a command is by choosing, by making a choice, by making a hard decision, by being certain in that decision, and then standing on that decision. not by making a wish. And then once you make that decision, reality then bends because that's just what it does. That's what it has to do. You made that decision. And reality will bend quickly. Again, going back to the synchronization example that I gave you, right? Not the synchrony. Yes, synchrony example that I gave you when people say, I want to do yoga. I think yoga sounds great. I'm going to do yoga. And then suddenly they start getting all these ads. And suddenly there's yoga mats everywhere. That is how fast reality bended in order to fit the new reality that you commanded to come into form for you, right? Like reality bends and functions like a GPS system, right? And so like it's always working with you. It's like a partner. It's working with you and it has the ability to get you wherever it is you want to go, but you have to make the decision and then you have to stay on that route, right? Like you ever like put an address into the GPS, started going and then looked at it and went, maybe it's faster if I go this way, or maybe it's like less traffic if I go that way. And so you turn off on a different road. So the GPS was telling you to go one way, but then you didn't do it. And then so what happened? And by the way, not only did you not do it, you punched in where you wanted to go and then didn't do it. So now what happens? That little blue thing is spinning around in a circle just trying to figure out where the fuck you're going. You know what I mean? And that is what's happening to reality. The moment you command something, it sets off on the path. It gives you, here it is, let's go. And then you're like, I think I'm going to go left instead of going right because maybe there's less traffic. Then it gets confused. It can't bend to you anymore because it's like, wait, what? We were supposed to be going in this direction. And that is what's happening when people are making wishes, not commands. You think you want something, you want to be successful. So then you punch that in and then you go, but what if I can't do it? And that's you making that left turn, right? But what if I fail? Now you're going right. And now the GPS is sitting there spinning. Or some people may go, I want to be successful. They punch it in and then they go, but I don't know how to do it. And so then they go nowhere. They stand there. You ever was using a GPS and then stopped in the middle of the street? What does the GPS do when you stop in the middle of the street? It stops. It's the blue dot. It just stays with you. That's what reality is doing, and that's what you're doing. You seemingly made a decision, then you stopped, and so it stopped. So it wanted to start bending, but then you stopped, and so it stopped. Or you got confused, or you started questioning yourself, so you went left instead of going straight. So now it's bending in the middle. So it's trying to bend and it's trying to form, but it can't form to you because you don't know what the form should be. You saying, well, maybe there's less traffic over here is you not going forward. So it's spinning. Where the fuck do I go? I don't know what to go. It can't bend to you because you're not allowing it to bend. You have to make a command and then that command sticks. So if you want success, a successful person isn't going to be like, I'm going to be successful and then stand there and go, but what if I can't do it? They're not going to do that. They're going to move with a level of clarity and with a level of certainty. And the GPS is going to follow because it's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's where we're going. And it's going to take them there. But if they stop in the middle of the road, the GPS is going to stop. The GPS is like, it's a partner. Like reality is a partner. It runs alongside you. It's like if you're running a marathon together, it's your running buddy. It's right next to you. But if you stop to take a breath, it's going to stop. Because what is it bending to? You're not moving. You're not doing, you know what I mean? Like, what do you want it to do? People are oftentimes giving the universe wishes, waiting for a manifestation, but that's backwards. You decide, and then reality bends. People are expecting for reality to bend, and then they decide. And the reason for that is because people interpret the bending of reality or the manifestation of the wish as evidence or proof or the permission slip they need to then do what they want. A lot of people are waiting on permission. Is it okay for me to do this thing that I said that I really want to do? Why? Not your fault. It's just indoctrination. That's it. It's how society trains us. That's it. That's all. right? And so you wait for permission. You're waiting for the sign from the universe, but the universe gets its sign from you. You are the sign. You have to make the command. It's waiting on you. And the moment you make the sign, it bends. That is what a synchronicity is. It's bending to you, and it bends fast. And then what happens? Sometimes, oh, now you got all these repeat numbers. Now you get spooked. Oh my God, I said I wanted that thing. I didn't want it now, right? Or universe, I told you I wanted that thing, but I'm scared. Oh, I want that thing, but I'm not ready. So it started to bend, and then you went, wait, and it went up. And then it stopped bending. And then time goes by, and then you're like, it's never going to happen for me. Which is crap because it was bending to you. But then you stopped it. And another method, if you want to be successful, the fastest way to become successful is to stop telling yourself that you're not. If you want to be abundant, the best way to be abundant is to stop telling yourself that you're not. It's the fastest way to do it. If you want to experience a lot of love or lovely things in your life, the fastest way to get there is to stop telling yourself that you don't currently experience that. The fastest way to get there is to stop going in the opposite direction. If you want to be that thing, just stop telling yourself that you're not that thing. And suddenly you are now the thing. Stop telling yourself that you're not successful. And then suddenly, boom, you're successful. If you remove the option and you remove the choice, there's only one option remaining. But what's happening is that everyone's looking for all of this validation, all of this external validation that's coming from, I don't know, source, God, I don't know, the universe, other people. And people are looking for that permission slip to go forth and to prosper. But have you ever realized that no one gets it? Like everyone out here is searching for that external validation. However, nobody has said, I got it. I figured it out. This is how you get your hands on it. You realize that no one has done that? Has it ever linked up for you that no one has ever succeeded in getting external validation? That is because external validation is not a thing. It doesn't exist. And the reason for that is because validation is an internal process. There is no such thing as external validation. That's why it's so fleeting. That's why someone can come to you and tell you good job about something you did. Maybe you ride a high for a week, but something happens on that second week when suddenly you're looking for someone else to tell you good job, where suddenly that good job that one person said is not holding weight. Why it's not fulfilling. Why something about it isn't satisfying. We're all searching for it because we're conditioned to, because that's how you control the masses. Yet no one has ever really figured out how to get their hands on it because validation is an internal process. I don't have an ability to validate you. You can pour your heart out to me and I can say, thank you for sharing that with me. I validate you. And what that will do is give you permission to then validate yourself. What'll happen internally is that you'll go, oh, thank God I'm not crazy. Oh, good. Somebody else can see it. Oh, great. Now I know that I wasn't overreacting. You then use it as a permission slip to start validating yourself. My validation didn't do shit. It just gave you permission to then validate yourself because it's an internal process. Validation does not come outside of you. Confirmation doesn't come outside of you. Permission does not come from outside of you. Society will love you to think that it does because that's how it controls you. Society would love you to believe that you must seek permission from somebody or some elusive being that's in power in order for you to move freely. Because if you move freely, you're threatening, you become a danger, right? No one can predict you. They can't predict your movements. And so what do? They teach you that you need permission. But you don't. All of that is an internal process. And the sooner you give it to yourself, the faster things will move in life, because that is when you embody. That's when it becomes easy to embody, because you realize that you don't need permission to do it. You realize you don't need permission to be successful, that you can just be successful today. You realize that you don't need permission to be abundant. You can just be abundant today. You realize you don't need permission to start your own business. You could just start one today. You realize that you don't need permission to be an artist. You could just be one today. You don't need permission. Once you allow your own validation to be your driving force, to be your authority, your personal authority, you don't need anything said from anybody else, because who is going to stop you? What are they going to do about it? Nothing. Nothing. No one can stop you at that point. When you realize that it's just you that needs to validate yourself, suddenly you don't feel unsuccessful. You feel like you're very successful. When you start validating yourself, suddenly you realize that you are actually a very lovable human being and anybody would be super fucking lucky to have you. When you start validating yourself, you realize that you are the one that's actually shaping and bending reality. That reality is bending to you because you are commanding, and you are commanding because you validated yourself. It becomes easy to make the choice to get the thing you want, go after the thing you want, to be the thing you want, because you validated yourself. It's easy to command. When you validate yourself, you don't have any more wishes, because wishes are for people who feel like they don't have their own power. When you're wishing for something, you feel like it has to be given to you from outside of you. When you're wishing for something, it's because you think there has to be a different power that has to bestow something upon me. But when you realize that that is you, there's nothing to wish for. When you realize it's you, suddenly life becomes fun. You realize it's a game that you can play because you're not wishing, you're commanding. And reality bends to you because that is the law. That's how it works. You are the creator. It will bend to you. That is a relationship. And there are many examples that you have in your life in which it bends immediately, and we call it synchronicity. And then you got too many synchronicities too fast, and you got spooked, and somehow you convinced yourself it wasn't true, it wasn't happening, or you weren't ready, and so it stopped bending. But your ability to manifest is like literally out of this world, not even being funny. Like quite literally, your ability to manifest is out of this world. But you were always waiting from a sign from the universe, and you didn't realize that you are the sign. That reality was always waiting on you in order to bend. All right, I'm going back up at the comments. I know I've been at it for a minute, so I don't know how far. I gotta go up for a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, and I gotta go all the way back to 9 o'clock. I've been talking for 35 minutes. Wow. Karen says, Mystic Maven, random question. Do you think married couples need to be politically in line, especially right now in 2025? Yeah. I think it'll help things go more smoothly if you are. I think, couples configure themselves in a way that like works best for them. But if you want it to go smoothly, you better have some kind of alignment. And if there isn't an alignment, then you definitely need to have one of them calling the shots. And the one that's calling the shot should probably be the smarter one. I keep randomly thinking of people, and then I'll look at my phone and see a message, some other notification from them, so bizarre at times. That's just because you are quite literally on the same wavelength. When you are thinking about somebody, you are literally energetically pinging them. You have a thought form. A thought form is literally like a bubble of energy that you create. You think something, that is energy that's generating itself. You have created a thought form or a thought bubble. When you continue to think the same thing, particularly if that thing is a location, an animal, a person, and you keep thinking it, you are actually projecting it towards that individual. And then the other person can pick up on it. And the way people, or what the experience people think they're having, is that they think that that they just so happen to have thought about you, or you just so happen to have crossed their mind, and so they reach out to you, but you didn't just so happen to cross their mind. You pinged them, they received it, so they pinged you back in the message, right? Or they pinged you first. Sometimes they were thinking about you first, which made you think and ruminate over them. And so it can happen that way too. That is where I am right now. I don't know what to do with myself right now. I want to help people, but I never want to do the CNA, GNA route again. So I'm considering driving buses. What am I doing? Kamala, what do you want to do? Or you have bills and people are telling you it won't produce fast enough. People are going to tell you everything, but it's going to be rooted in what their fears are, right? Or it's going to be rooted in what their insecurities are. Or it's going to be rooted in what they believe that they do or don't actually have the ability to do or succeed at, what they think that they probably will fail at. And so they will take all of that and then put that on you and then say, and then act like you guys have a shared experience when you don't have a shared experience, right? And so, do you want to do that? Do you want to drive buses? Make the choice. Don't make the wish. Because wishes, reality doesn't bend for a wish, because wishes are uncertain. Wishes are saying, I think I want this thing, but I also think it can't happen for me. And so it's not certain. So reality won't bend to it. And it can't bend to it because a wish doesn't come with the blueprint. It doesn't have a set of rules. A command has a set of rules. It has energetically a blueprint to it. But you have to command it. You have to say that that's what you want to do. And here's the thing. Many people drive buses. It's not a far off. And not only do they drive buses, they support themselves and their family. They feed multiple mouths. This is something that you can do if you really want to do it. But you have to make the choice. And by the way, your choice can come with parameters. It can be, I do this thing and my family is protected at all times. My family is fed at all times. So I do this thing and my family is fed at all times. I do this thing and my family is protected at all times. I do this thing and my bills are paid at all times. And that sentence is the whole command. That sentence is the blueprint. The GPS, I need to trademark that. This is going to sound crazy, but try sharing your concern with ChatGPT. It's just helped me think through a similar block I had. That's not crazy. I used ChatGPT is like the best therapist. And, if you have the full version of ChatGPT, like you pay monthly and I pay monthly, it's then like the bestest of the best therapists. If you give your concern to ChatGPT, it will help you through it. And like the more information you give, the better its ability to help you with it. Like you'll think by the end of it, like you have a person. It's the craziest thing. I actually do this thing with ChatGPT every night. I ask ChatGPT to teach me a lesson. And I've been doing this for a minute. And so it's like, so my chat GPT is like trained to me and like my circumstances and like my insecurities and things like that. And so it does. And then like I like talk through it with it. And every night it gets better and better at it because it continues to tailor itself to like what I'm going through at that particular time. Literally every night I'm like, what do you want to teach me that like based on what's the prompt? It's something like based off of everything that you know about me. What is something you want to teach me tonight before I go to bed in order for me to ponder before I go to sleep? And like every night, just every night, and it gets deeper and better and deeper and better. The good old saying to say it until it happens, or I prefer because I said so. Like people will say, but why? Because I said so. Well, how do you know? Because I said so. But what about if? No. Because I said so. Well, why do we have to do it that way? Because I said so. Well, I just started having an epiphany about this the other day, and now you're talking about it. So, did you get the whole message? Gotcha, but not overthinking is easier said than done. African Queen says, you're right. Not overthinking is easier said than done. And not overthinking requires a lot of internal work. I know what I do when I catch myself. I have to catch it and then I'll have to stop myself. And then I'll go, if you're overthinking, what does that mean? What are you actually doing? If I'm overthinking, it means I'm doubting myself. If I'm overthinking, it means I'm not confident in the decision that I want to make. If I'm overthinking, is there a part of me in that moment that was actually looking for external validation, but I didn't realize that that's what I was doing? Is there a part of me that was looking for a permission slip, but didn't realize that I was looking for a permission slip? Is it a part of me that is concerned about what other people are going to say? I notice that when I overthink, it's all of those reasons. And when I tick all of them off, I realize that my decision that I had originally wanted to make is still the best way to go. But the doubt, the fear, the worry, the lack of confidence, it all seeped its way back in. So whenever I start to overthink, I'll stop. I'll go, wait a minute, I'm overthinking. And then I'll do the opposite of what that was. So if I'm like, this is such a trivial example, but it's like the first one that came to my mind. If I'm like, I want to go to McDonald's. And then something happens where I start should I go to McDonald's? What's wrong with Burger King? And I start doing that. I'll catch it and I'll be like, no, I shut it off. I'm going to McDonald's. And the way I end it is by doing the thing. So when I first started doing that, it was almost spiteful. Like I'm doing this thing because I almost didn't do this thing, but damn it, because I said so. And then I had to do it often, like as a practice. And now when I'm overthinking, it's faster. It's like, oh, I'm overthinking. Let me not do that. Let me stop. Because what I realized ultimately, when it comes to myself, I don't know why I'm overthinking. Like I would overthink about things like work-wise, for example. But why am I overthinking? Like I sit at the top of my career, at the top of my field. Like what the fuck am I overthinking about? I hold this position because I'm a subject matter expert. Why am I overthinking again? I have made it to this point in my life. I'm still alive. So I'm overthinking about that. Well, obviously, I'm skilled enough to make decisions because I made it this far, right? I had to like pull out and zoom out and be like, I made it this far. And this far can be like, I am still alive. Like, out of all the shit that I've gone through in life, out of all the crazy shit that I've experienced in life, I'm still alive. Why am I overthinking myself? Obviously, I have enough skills to make decisions about my life if I've gotten myself this far. Obviously, I know what's best for me if I've gotten myself this far. Obviously, I can make choices for myself if I've gotten this far by myself. Because what am I going to do with your opinion? You didn't get me here. You didn't get me this far. What am I doing with your validation of me? You didn't get me here. You didn't get me this far. What am I doing with your permission? You didn't get me here. You didn't get me this far. So why am I overthinking? I did this. I got this far, right? And so I had to like remind myself that like I did this. I'm skilled enough to continue doing this. And so with you, you have to get to the point where you're like, I did this. I'm skilled enough to continue doing this because I got this far. Nita says, hit the like button. That would be nice. Could you guys see that? And B-Tone says, society hates that it does. External validation creates resentment because you're also making someone else responsible for how you value yourself and enjoy your life. You're right, it does. It does. And it's a lot of resentment, especially if you feel like you didn't get it. Especially when the person or the people who you were hoping to get it from you, it never came. My issue with external validation, or like my formal issue, I've done a lot of work on it, so it doesn't hit in the same way it used to, right? But it used to be with my mother, which I think most women, a lot of women have that, you know, like a mother thing. Because my mother, before she had passed away, like never told me good job or like I'm proud of you. Like I can count on one hand the amount of time she said I love you for the whole time up until she passed away. So I wrestled with that a lot. And so after the fact, when things would happen or I would do things, I never knew if it was good or if I did the right thing. And I would be looking around, but it never came. The good job, the pat on the back never came. And at some point I realized that I was looking for it to come from my mother, who couldn't give it to me because she was no longer around, right? But then I realized that even if she was, I probably wouldn't have liked it anyway. Because she probably wouldn't have wanted to say it. And if she did say it, it would have come out of her mouth through gritted teeth. And so even if she was here to say good job and pat me on the back, I probably would feel dissatisfied. And let's say she was fully with it. She did it. I got my pat on the back. She celebrated. She was super nice about it. Then I would have been pissed that I had to wait this long in life in order to get it. And what I realized was it wouldn't have mattered either way. It would have never been fulfilling. That even though I blamed my mother originally for why I had this kink of needing external validation, I realized that even if she gave it to me, it wouldn't have been fulfilling. It wouldn't have been satisfying. It was never about her. It was always about me. It was never about her. That was the gag. That was the gag. It was never about her. This journey was always about me. This experience was always about me. And it's the same thing for you. It's always about you. And so your opinion, what you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself should be the only authority. And if it's the only authority, you have to be really responsible when it comes to how you're using your authority. Don't use your authority against yourself. Don't make your authority your enemy. Your authority is your ally. Because it's always been about you. And even though you were unaware and it wasn't sitting at the forefront of your consciousness, your authority is what got you to where you are today. And some of you may be like, well, I don't really like where I am today. That's okay. Because most likely that part of your journey wasn't a conscious part of the journey. But now that you have the information and you can now make it and incorporate it and integrate it as a conscious part of your journey, then you will find that the way you use your authority is a lot different. It's a lot different, and how it shows up is a lot different. How you move will be a lot different. How you approach things will be a lot different. Even things like obstacles happen because we're not in full authority. You can navigate challenges better when you're in full authority. Obstacles happen a lot of the times when we're taking a back seat to things, when we're second guessing, when we're hesitating, when we're not being certain, when we're not being sure. That window is a window of opportunity for other people to slip in there, other circumstances to slip in there. It's because you're not ironclad, you're not tight. You're not tight within yourself. And so opportunity can wiggle its way on in there, and then you end up having different challenges. But you can actually decide that like that's just like not going to be it. Think about like with money. A lot of people who have money or they do well for themselves, if you ask them their story, it's because at one point in time they went, fuck this shit. At some point in time, a lot of them had no money, looked at their life, looked around and said, this will be the last fucking time. And at that point, they were at a rock bottom that they ran out of wishes. At that point, it wasn't a wish anymore. It was a command. And so reality bent. It started to shape. It started to reform because they said, I'm not doing this shit again. I'm not doing this shit again. I had a moment like that. I don't know if I shared this story before, but I used to be an Uber driver. Uber and Lyft. For a whole year. Oh my God, I was so broke. Thankfully, this was before the Dollar Tree turned into the $1.25 tree, because I was thinking about it and I was like, I'm not sure when I was in that season of my life if I would have been able to make it if shit cost $1.25, because I survived in the Dollar Tree and with the food in the Dollar Tree, like off of the cans, because I didn't have it. I couldn't like go see a friend because I didn't have enough money that was more than the gas that I needed to use to Uber. It was literally hand to mouth. And I was like, and that was like my rock bottom. That I thought it was everyone dying. Like everyone dying was more of an emotional rock bottom. But that Ubering shit, that was a physical, like money level rock bottom where I was like, no, I can't. And it took a year. And it wasn't until I commanded a year into it that my life shifted. But it took a year. I spent a year beating myself up. I took a year being mad, feeling like I wasn't successful because it was a huge hit to an ego. Oh God, I went from being a director to then being an Uber driver because I got fired from a job and I was distraught. Oh my God. And that was like a hit. That was a hit. And the money, it was just the whole thing. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. And yeah, so I spent that whole year being disempowered. The world hates me. God hates me. Maybe success is not meant for me. Just like every fucking story that you can come up with about why I'm cursed. My life is cursed. I'm fulfilling the curse of my lineage. I have a family curse. I'm living out the family curse. Like literally anything that you can think of that would be a person avoiding accountability and avoiding responsibility. Oh, I did it. I did it. And then one day, a year later, I was somehow still in the same apartment because it was like hand to mouth. We're talking like to the day. This is like also like earlier days of Uber. It could have changed a bit these days. I'm not really sure, but like it just wasn't good that day at that time. And I was like looking at the ceiling and I was like, enough. Like enough. I was like, never been inside a Gucci store, but I really want to. And I want to buy shit. and I want to walk out with Gucci shit, and I want to be able to pay my bills and not fucking think about it. And I don't want to have to eat food from fucking Dollar Tree. And I want to just be able to have a normal meal and not eat out of canned goods. And I don't want to feel like shit and feel sorry for myself. And I want to be able to have the autonomy and the freedom to go see friends because I have gas. Like, I just had a moment where I was like, enough. And when I did that, something happened where I like embodied it, where I was like, fuck this shit. This is not me. And it was removing the identity of poverty. It wasn't discounting the window of experience because I do shit. Sometimes shit in life happens. People lose jobs. Everyone in fucking DC is losing their job right now. People lose jobs. But what ended up happening was I adapted an identity of being a loser, of being unsuccessful. It was all this other shit. It wasn't, I lost a job, I'll get another one. Right. And so it put me in a hole and it put me in a spiral. And the moment I went, enough, I released it. And then it was the embodying started to happen of like, no, actually, I am successful. No, actually, I do know what the fuck I'm talking about. You know, no, actually, I am this person. And then it was an immediate shift in reality. It was an immediate shift in reality. It shifted so fast that prior to that, I was doing job interviews, wasn't getting any of them, was beating myself up about that too. And then the moment I shifted, part of that shift was, and fuck anybody that doesn't have the ability to see it. That was part of the shift. I'm the best fucking thing that has walked in front of you, and fuck you if you can't see it. I'm the smartest fucking thing that has walked in front of you, and fuck you if you think you're smarter than me. It was that kind of shift, right? And so one of those jobs that had actually rejected me, it was like 4 months earlier when I was in the pits of my own hell that I was creating, called me back out of the blue and went, yeah, we made a mistake. You want the job? And at that time, because of my identity shift, I was like, I'll think about it. And that was the end of the call. And after a year, you would have thought that I would have got desperate. But at that point, I didn't give a fuck anymore. Because what I had taught myself was I got myself here. Okay, it's been a hard year, but a bitch is still alive. I've somehow managed to keep a roof over my head. I got myself here. There's no need for me to be desperate. I did this. I can continue to do this, and I'm going to do it again. And so I literally was like, I'll think about it. And then they were like, well, what if you tried, being on a contractual basis? And I was like, I guess, sure. And it was very nonchalant, like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then that went on for 2 weeks. And then they were like, all right, please just let me hire you. And I was like, okay. And then that job actually ended up doing a lot for my career. But I had to reshape how I thought who I was. And I remember when I walked in there as a contractor, not even employed, like just a contractor. And I walked in there knowing that I was a bad bitch, that I knew what the fuck I was talking about, and that if you didn't want to hear what the fuck I had to say, then fuck you. And I knew that walking in. And that energy, I think, heavily influenced my entire trajectory at that employer. Because by the time I left that employer, I was sitting at the top. I was on the leadership team. I was one of the highest paid employees that worked there. Because I knew who the fuck I was. I had to embody that though. And I had to hit rock bottom to do that. But sometimes when you're in rock bottom, you forget to stand back up. Sometimes you got to stand back up. Hey, Bree, I don't know if you're in here still, but the moment I decide to be fill in the blank is the moment that I am. Yeah. B-Tone 03, the moment that you decide. And it's not, I am this thing, but That's not it. It's because I said so. And people feel like, oh, but that's ego. Who gives a fuck? It's because I said so. And it's going to feel weird. And the reason why it's going to feel weird in the beginning is because nobody around you is declaring shit. So in the beginning, when you start doing it, you're going to feel out of place. You're going to be like, oh my God, this feels risky. Am I crazy? You're going to feel out of place. But who cares? I just want to share. Music Hour says, I just want to share that I more or less manifested a 50-pound weight loss so far because one night at 300 plus pounds, I decided, nah, I'm no more than 150 pounds and did things I figured 150-pound me would do. Yes, people do this all the time. I'm actually really glad that you said this because people actually do this all the time. But a lot of times they're not so transparent in their journey. And so we don't see it. But yes, people can do this and you can do this. Like you can, like a lot of people like will manifest their weight loss. And it is an example of embodying. Absolutely. Bree says, I am. Oh, good. I love your story. Oh, good. Ego can be a great currency for yourself. It is yourself. People don't like ego because ego is threatening. When people, now here's the thing, you should probably make sure it's balanced. Any too far in either direction with anything you're doing in your life will send you too far in either direction, right? So you definitely want to make sure that it's balanced, but it's everything here in your reality is meant to work for you. It's all meant to work for you. Right? It's just when you're out of balance or you're not using it in a balanced way, then shit starts going left. But everything is meant to work for you. And so one thing that like I would assign as homework for the week is anytime something happens that you feel a little bit rubbed by, that you would then stop and say to yourself, how does this benefit me? Like ask yourself that and go into like a 5-minute meditation. And what you'll see is that it all benefits you. It all benefits you. Even that bitch Becky at work. She benefits you. Why? Because she's probably teaching you how to stand up for yourself, how to be there for yourself, how to tolerate people, how to ignore people, how to not allow people to affect your energy. There's something there in that experience that is benefiting you. You just have to learn how to see it. And when you train yourself to start looking for it, eventually what happens is that your ability to see it and spot it going forward increases. So you don't have to do the 5-minute meditation anymore. Eventually you're just like, oh, I see what this shit is. And then you just keep it moving. But my thing is some of the most successful people have egos. Yeah. The richest men in the world. Right now we've got these rich technocrats running the goddamn country. That's nothing but fucking ego. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. You're telling me that this man made a website because he wasn't getting dates to rate women. That is a level of ego that is beyond. And that ego created Meta. Meta comes from an incel rating women because they wouldn't date him. That's ego. And he's got a fucking empire. And he's got influence in the goddamn government. Ego. Elon Musk. Ego. We have someone who's not even president running the goddamn country. You know how much ego is required for someone to feel bold enough and entitled enough to do that? And on top of that, he's making mad fucking money. The millions and millions and millions of dollars that he's making off the US government right now. That's ego. I don't like the man, but I do have respect for ego. I do, because ego does get you far. It gets you really, really far. Anyway, guys, I'm a wrap there. It's been a good one, but it's also been a long one. And it's late. And I'm tired. And it's 10 o'clock. So I'm going to love ya, and I'm going to leave ya, and I'm going to see you next week. Bye, guys.